back in August 2019, right, just over 3 years ago, a deal was signed with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Accort Community Housing, and ACC and the Social Impact Investment Team. And it was the first time this has happened in the history of Aotearoa, where we joined together to say, could we use the money from ACC, the funding from government, and the expertise and the purpose and the skill of Court to build houses for people on the social housing register in Tamaki Makaurau? And we went, yes we can, and yes we will.
A few years ago, ACC came to me and said that this was one of their investment decisions. I don't have a hand as ACC Minister in the investment decisions that they make, but this particular investment decision made me smile. As well as being the Minister for ACC, I am the Minister for NSD, and NSD does have the responsibility of managing the public housing waiting list. So to see ACC step into this space, to maintain their focus on responsible investments, to ensure that the ACC scheme is sustainable moving forward, but to match that with initiatives that allow them to do that whilst achieving social impact is something that I think that we can be really proud of with regards to ACC's efforts. ACC of course recognised that they're not the experts in housing, and so they did need to work with a partner that had the expertise, the relationships and the kaupapa that is required with regards to social housing, and they wisely went into partnership with Court Community Housing to be able to make this happen.
A key priority for us as a government is ending homelessness. We're very clear that every New Zealander has the right to a warm, dry, secure and safe place to live. And I think we can all agree that the work of Court Community Housing is making a real contribution to this very challenging and hard mahi for the people of Auckland. So thank you for that. Court was one of the first community housing providers to join the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development's Public Housing Strategic Partner Panel, and is one of HUD's key community housing provider partners delivering new built public housing. So that's a really long way of saying you're a really important friend and partner. So thank you for doing that. This is the 12th new development that Court has delivered since 2018. That means there's 163 whānau who are now living in newly built warm, dry homes and putting down roots in their communities. And there are more homes to come. Thank you. And these homes are built for families. They're close to schools and services and part of a good community. And I acknowledge the local school being here today. I've already talked to one of the new tenants who's talking with excitement about the fact his kids are going to go to school across the road. This is how we build communities. These 15 new homes are also the result of an innovative joint venture with ACC to create a funding model that is, as we've heard, the first of its kind in New Zealand. And this is something to get excited about. This is something to be excited about, because it's innovation like this which is a critical part of how we solve a housing crisis. Simply doing what has been done in the past and doing exactly the same is what got us into this mess. To solve a housing crisis, we've got to innovate and we've got to do things differently, and this is a critical part of it. Formed in 2020 and supported by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, it shows the beautiful coming together of finance, a community partner with expertise in providing housing, and a ministry who have the policy levers and funding to be able to put into it, and the operational funding. And it shows that we are committed to pulling every lever we can to get more houses built as quickly as we can. This is about how it is that we can increase the supply of new public housing in genuine partnership with our community housing providers. This brings ACC into the mix in a finance role, which I think is really innovative and a really exciting development for New Zealand. But this is the kind of partnership that has seen us in government since 2017 increase the number of homes that community housing providers increase from just over 5,000 when we got into government to now over 11,000. But that's required us to also quadruple that funding that goes to our community housing providers, and I'm proud of that partnership. We have increased our public housing by over 10,000 since we've come into government, and that's been delivered both through Kāinga Ora and community housing providers. We've more than doubled the community houses that were there when we came into government, but it's not as simple as saying one or the other. Both bring expertise, both bring ways of doing things. In terms of what we want to keep doing, there's 15 here, there's 104 that are planned under this partnership model. One of the things that we've always wanted to do, and we've been talking to our community housing provider partners about, is the way in which we can leverage some quite substantial balance sheets that are starting to build up now so that we can continue to add more and more houses. That requires the government to also be there with the operating funding, and we've shown that with a more than quadrupling of the operating funding going to community housing providers.